Anyway, welcome to our third class on connection, exploring the theme of connection. And last week we thought a little bit about internal connection. And this week I'm calling the class external connection. But it's really just about reflecting on the external connections we have, which we think and which do give ourselves a sense of identity, a sense of self. And yet, according to the yoga tradition, are at the end of the day largely irrelevant. And I think it can be quite helpful to take a little bit of time to reflect on what it is that gives us meaning in our external connections, and then also to reflect a little bit on whether that is eclipsed by something deeper, as the yoga tradition suggests. So just to introduce the theme in a couple more ways, one of the things that struck me in considering this class and this theme is that the yoga tradition itself is obviously one of our main external connections, and had people at different times in history over the past 2,000 years made different choices, we'd be doing a quite different class. So a bit like with all religions that have turning points where people write down and codify belief and say this is in and this is out. The same thing happened in yoga. And we only have to go back to around about the 1920s and 1930s to find the point at which postures, asanas, the physical practice, suddenly mushroomed from being a tiny part of yoga to becoming, if you look at any yoga magazine, it seems to be the main thing, being able to bend yourself over backwards, tie yourself into a pretzel shape or a reef knot. But in fact, that is, when we look back at the external connection to the yoga tradition, that is only a small part. So reflecting on that external connection to yoga, and maybe connecting with the deeper historical meaning of yoga, which is the stillness, the steadying of the mind, the finding out what is real and what is unreal, and then using that idea to reflect on other things. So, you know, the kind of school we went to, the job we had, the family we come from, the organizations we've experienced, the fact that we live in a society that is democratic and caring, all gives us a sense of ourselves and values, which shapes our view of the world. But other people in different parts of the world have a very different view, and you know, which one is better? That is a difficult question to answer. But what yoga says is, yes, there are very many different forms of external connection which help to construct an identity of ourselves. But actually all those fall away, melt away, and we are left with the essence of ourselves in the stillness of our own breath and our own thoughts. And even in our own society, you go back a few hundred years and there are unrecognizable ideas and beliefs around. So all that stuff is changing, but what yoga says is that what is unchanging is what is at the essence of every one of us. So it's a bit of a complex theme. So we'll just try to reflect on it now and then through the practice in much more simple ways. And we're going to continue tonight with the breathing practice we're doing for this run of classes, the sama-vritti ratio. And as I explained, I think in the first class of this series, sama means same and vritti means fluctuations. And it's about bringing a sameness to the length of the inhale and the length of the exhale. And again, if I just link that to the theme of the external connection, in the yoga tradition, there's some very complex ideas around how long the inhale and the exhale are. So if you're breathing in for a count of 6 and breathing out for a count of 6, that will have a very different effect to breathing in for a count of 8 and out for 8, and so on. So they all have a different purpose according to that view, and that may or may not be true. We're going to, as we did last week, find our own comfortable Samavritti rhythm of equal inhale and exhale, where we really feel that we are expressing our own authentic fullness of breath and allowing that inhale to arise naturally and feeling and noticing the beginning, the middle and the end. And then in the same way, allowing the exhale to have a very natural path of beginning, middle, and dying away to that stillness. And if we think about the inhale and the exhale as a metaphor for the activity of the mind, it is at the dying away points when we are quietest, the pauses between the inhale and the exhale, that we may have a glimpse, a little deeper glimpse of that inner stillness. So we are going to use a little bit of counting this week just to get us going. So if you're happy to close your eyes and take a moment to tune into your body, noticing every sensation in your body this evening. Noticing whether, in that overall sense, whether your body feels in a state of profound ease, or whether there is widespread tension or localized tension. Whether you feel well or a little bit under the weather. Whether your energy levels are high or low. And remember, as we say every week, we're trying not to make a judgment. We're trying to authentically find our starting point for our practice every single time we come to the mat. And then begin to turn your attention to your breath. And unless the nose is blocked, breathing in and out through the nose. And as you breathe in, just silently counting 1, 2, and exhaling 1, 2. And inhaling 1, 2, 3, beginning to stretch the breath, exhaling 1, 2, 3. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhaling 1, 2, 3, 4. Just pause at this rhythm, so continuing to breathe in a 4/4 rhythm. And again, self-reflect on whether this is the right length and depth of breath. Does it have those qualities of fullness and ease? Because we're going to have an option to just extend that a little up to 5 and even 6. But the moment you feel that you are straining for something that is not within that grasp of ease, then at that point we've allowed an external idea, an external connection to what I'm saying and what the yoga tradition suggests, rather than being true to ourselves. So if you're comfortable at 4, stay at 4, because we want no strain on the breath. Otherwise, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Continue to inhale and exhale and make the transition from the counted breath, and instead focus on the feeling of balance. between your inhale and exhale and the quality of your breath. Find that ease, find that fullness. Find that beginning, middle, and end, and beginning, middle, and end of your out breath. And if you are short of time or find it difficult to home practice, just sitting for a couple of minutes every day and doing your samavriti or equal breath will have a dramatic and measurable effect on what is happening in the physiology of your body. We know that it promotes autonomic regulation. We know that it promotes good heart rate variability. And that is that lovely idea measured by doctors that your heart isn't just plodding along in one rhythm or another. It's absolutely in tune with your breath, speeding up a little as you breathe in and slowing down a little as you breathe out. Just showing the delicate balance of body and breath, and the two having a real impact on the quality of your mind. You still have the eyes open, blinking the eyes closed, blinking the eyes open, and just give the arms a little shake, let them hang down. Remember, I invite you every week to begin the practice in a chair, but if you prefer to sit cross-legged on the floor, that's absolutely fine as well, particularly if you've been stuck in a chair all day. And then really try and let the arms feel heavy, and notice this movement of the shoulders, that you can lift the shoulders up and you can draw the shoulders back and down. And as we breathe in, we're going to draw the shoulders up towards the ears and almost feel like we're drawing the head into the torso. Our neck is disappearing. And then as we breathe out, exaggerate the space in the other direction. The heaviness of the arms and the shoulders release a maximum distance away from the ears, and the neck feels long. The crown of the head is lifting. Breathing in, shoulders up. Breathing out, shoulders down. If we just tuck the chin in slightly and feel that the back of the neck is long, rather than with the chin further in front of us than the forehead. So just that drawing back, the lifting of the back of the head, the raising of the crown of the head up towards the ceiling. And then as you exhale, taking the chin forwards. And just hold this position with the chin forwards for a couple of breaths, and see if you can, as you exhale, just soften the shoulders back and down a little bit more and let the chin come a little bit further forward. It's not really any effort here, just use the heavy weight of the head to begin to extend and lengthen the back of the neck. And if that feels tight, this is something that would be worth spending a bit of time doing again at odd moments in the day when you find you've got a minute or two. Just drawing the chin in, lifting the crown of the head, tilting the head forward and stretching out the back of the neck. It will really, really help with posture. And then breathing in, bring the head back up to center. And as you exhale, rotate the head to the right. And inhale, back to center, and exhale, turn the head to the left. Inhale to center. We'll do that once more with our own breath. So exhaling, rotating. There might be a tendency of the shoulders to rise up. Resist that, draw them down, and try to extend the head a little bit further. Inhaling to center, exhaling to the other side. Inhaling back to center, and this time just dropping the right ear over towards the right shoulder. At the same time, let the left arm hang. We're trying to create as much space here between this left ear and the left shoulder. We don't want that shoulder to come up. Again, drawing it back and down and using the weight of the head to create that stretch. And then breathing in, coming up, and breathing out. Take the head over to the other side. Sometimes we can do big yoga stretches. We can work the leg muscles, the spine, the arms. But if we have this experience of tension in the neck and the shoulders, it can really have a negative impact on the whole of the body. So it seems very gentle, very subtle, but it is nevertheless important. And then breathing in, coming up. And this time, just give the shoulders a little bit of a lift and roll. Because the best thing to do with shoulders is to get somebody to sit behind you and massage them. And then, of course, it's polite to reciprocate that. That will have a much more rapid effect. It's really quite hard to get in the habit of releasing these shoulders on your own if you are holding a lot of residual tension. So bear that in mind next time they're feeling tight. So arms out, fingertips on the top of the shoulders. And now we're going for our biggest range of movement. And this one will coordinate with the breath. So breathing in, drawing the shoulders together and then up and high, and breathing out, back and down and forwards. So you can allow the shoulders to come up as the elbows come up and let them go down as the elbows go down. But also we are rotating the top of the arm into the shoulder joint. And then next time you finish a circle, let the arms go down once more. And then just take the arms out at shoulder height and rotate the arms inwards and just see how far you can rotate those arms. And then coming back and going the other way, palms up, probably won't go much beyond that. Back round and in and out and release. And again, a little shoulder shrug. So with the release in the shoulders, we'll try and maintain that through our little opening sequence, finding our equal breath and breathing in and really taking this expansive arm movement as far as is comfortable for you. Have a feeling that the shoulders travel back and down, the shoulder blades beginning to move towards each other at the back of the body, and exhaling, hands coming together and finishing, closing softly. So let the arm movement reflect the breath, the beginning, the middle, the end, and also the softness, the fullness, the ease of your breath. And having released a little bit of tension, hopefully in the neck and in the shoulders, we are now beginning to work on the upper back. It's particularly important to work on the upper back. So I'm going to define that as being from the beginning of the ribs right up to the collarbones, because that area slightly curves outwards, and because the ribs are attached to each one of the spine's vertebrae there, this area can get a little bit stiff, because it can't do a great deal of movement compared with the neck and the lower back. So let's just do one more of those. So a real feeling of opening that part of the spine into a little back bend and then releasing on the exhale. Now if we take the arms down, give them another little shake, take the palms out and then breathing in. And again, as usual, you're just going to take these arms exactly where you want to. When you feel the end of the inhale, turn the palms and transition to exhale. Trying to get the palms to really define the still point between the two halves of your breath. If you feel the shoulders rising, don't take the arms quite so high. And if they're not rising, go as high as you want to. But we're not really doing a big stretch here. It's more about expanding the breath and feeling the coordination of the breath with the body. And exhale, give the arms a little lift and roll. So what we're going to do now is breathe into another back bend. So we did this last week. We're going to breathe up to this position called cactus arms. If I just turn sideways, you'll see that the arms are pretty much in line with the shoulders, but some of you may be able to draw the elbows back a little bit beyond the shoulders, and that will be a little bit more back bend. But if the shoulders are tight or the spine is stiff, then here or here or here, they're all fine. That's the inhale position. The exhale position, the hands come onto the thighs quite quickly, so you have time to use the rest of the exhale to bow forwards and tuck that chin in last of all, just like we did earlier to stretch the back of the neck. So this is one reason why a lengthened breath can be so useful in yoga. It just gives you a little bit more time to experience each practice, each physical practice, slightly more deeply. You have just simply more time in which to do that. So working with your breath. And then we'll make this the last one. So draw the elbows back a little bit further if you can. And then as you exhale, you're going to stay in the forward bend. And once you've tucked the chin in, just relax the head, let it hang forwards, because you're supporting the upper body with the arms on the thighs and the head is not lower than the heart. This is a very safe place just to let the head hang. And take a moment there to allow the back of the neck to lengthen once more, but feel the whole of the spine lengthening, particularly the lower back. Very nice. And then on an inhale, using the hands coming back up to your seated position. I'm going to do a little bit of dynamic twisting now. We'll bring the hands together in front of the heart. And as we breathe in, we'll try to make the spine as tall as possible, lifting the crown of the head, keeping that chin tucked in, and then breathing out, taking the hands around to one side of the chair and turning the head to look in the opposite direction. No need to be in a hurry to get a big twist here. We'll work into it over several breaths. Always inhaling back to the midline and exhaling, hands to one side, head to the other. The more we can just preserve this perfect axis of the spine, rather than leaning forwards or sideways, the better. So that can particularly happen in the head, kind of turn the head and look down, just try to rotate the chin. Imagine the spine at the base of the head is actually carrying on up as an energetic line through the crown of the head, and you're rotating, if you like, around a beam of light that is running right down the center of the body. So a few more. Perhaps beginning to feel a little bit more twist coming into the spine as we repeat the movement a few more times. And then the next time you've done a twist on the other side to the one you started on, coming back to center on an inhale and exhaling, bowing forward once more, and just seeing if that has helped you experience a tiny bit more release into the lower back. Lovely. So those of you who are coming down onto a mat are going to come down now. And if you're staying in a chair, then come into your chair. So the people in the chair are going to fold over the knees and do the circling motion with the upper body, shifting the weight around. And if you're lying on the back, supporting the back of the head so that the lovely space you've created in the back of the neck doesn't disappear with a big chin up. So remember, forehead level with or higher than the chin, holding the shins or the back of the thighs and rocking from side to side. And you can roll the head the opposite way to the knees, which is like a mini version of the twist we just did. And if you're on the mat, you're going to release the hands down, keep the feet and the shins together, and do some little circles around the back of the pelvis. And then when you've done 3 or 4, you're going to come round in the other direction. So for those on the chair, we've just done something that was a bit of a combination of those two. So you're going to do something slightly different. You're going to breathe in and just feel like you are tensing all the muscles around the hips as you breathe in, and as you breathe out, releasing. So just a little bit of strengthening work for the glutes and for the pelvic floor. If you like, it's a feeling of sucking in and drawing up, and then releasing that on an exhale. Very nice. And then if you're lying on the back, draw the knees in over the chest. And have the feet flat on the floor, but hip width apart now. And we're just going to begin with a little bit of breathing in, taking the arms up into the air, and then breathing out, taking the arms as far as they want to go overhead. Inhale, reaching up, and exhale, bringing the arms back down. Just continue with that for a few more. It's the same if you're in the chair. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. And then on the next exhale, come back to your starting position. So we're going to do the arm movement in one breath now. You're going to just move the arms to a comfortable position for you. And we're going to add in a little bit of hamstring work. So if you're in the chair, it's going to be breathing in, lifting the right knee and extending the leg out, pulling the toes back, and exhale, bring the arms back, bending the knee and down. And then the same with the other leg. And you'll all be doing this already, I'm sure, exactly the same if you're lying on the mat. Inhaling, arms overhead, one leg stretching, exhale, releasing back to your starting position. Just doing one more of those. And then we're going to just slightly refine that practice and turn it into a cross crawl. So from your starting position, this time you're only going to do one arm. So if the right arm is coming up, the left leg is going to extend and stretch and exhale back. And then the left arm and the right leg and exhale back. And just continue for a couple more rounds. And as you may already know, whenever we do a cross crawl movement, it promotes the horizontal integration of the brain, because the right hemisphere controls the left side of the body and vice versa. So it's just good for our coordination. And the next time you do the left arm and the right leg, or if you started on that one, the other leg, you're going to just release yourself either by folding over the legs if you're in the chair, or drawing the knees in over the chest if you are on the mat. So this is when we're going to use our belts and come into a little bit of hamstring stretch and also a little bit of additional hip opening. So we'll start with the hamstring stretch in the right leg. So whether you're on the mat or in the chair, take the belt around the foot and wrap the belt once around the hands. That will stop you over tensing the wrists. And then really important, before you start, have the shoulders slid up towards the ears, just draw them down. And then breathing in. We're doing this one every week at the moment. It's so effective. Breathing in, bend the knee. And breathing out, stretch the leg. And just focus on finding the stretch that is going to work for you, whether that is a straight leg, a bent leg, or for the more flexible, a straight leg that is even beginning to move in towards the body. And make sure you have enough belt that the shoulders remain relaxed, the back of the shoulder blades are remaining on the mat at all times. They're not being lifted up as you reach for the foot. And then on the next inhale, we'll bend that knee in and we'll bring the left foot in to take over the belt. A little bit of beltography, and do the same with the left leg. Inhale, knee to chest. Exhale, extend and stretch. And if you remember from previous class, we talked about trying to feel this stretch, not just in the main muscle that's being stretched, the back of the thigh, the hamstring muscles, but trying to visualize this stretch as coming from the ground through the back of the pelvis, down the whole of the leg to the heel of the foot. A stretch that involves multiple muscles and connective tissue. And then on the next inhale, release the left foot. Just keep the belt resting across your tummy or on your knees if you're in a chair. And we're going to come into a little bit of hip opening before doing a slightly stronger hip opening. So again, lying on the back, you can work both hips at the same time, doing that circular motion with the hands on the knees. And if you're in a chair, you do exactly the same, but you're going to work one hip at a time. So those on the mat round about now begin to circle in the other direction. And then we're going to come into a slightly stronger hip opening position. And this is going to vary a lot for those in a chair, depending on what's going on. And if you've got a bad knee on one side, then you're probably going to do very, very little amount of external rotation with it. So you could just take the knee out to the side. Let's work the right leg first, or you could extend the left leg and rest the foot on the lower leg right up to and including for those who are able to, bringing the right ankle up onto the right thigh. And as soon as we get there, we're going to flex the foot, we're going to pull the toes back, and that will additionally protect the knee. Then we'll just do a little bit of breathing in and breathing out, releasing that right hip. And if you are lying on the mat, you'll do a very similar thing. So either releasing the knee out to the side with the foot on the floor, or you can have the foot on the lower leg, or you can have the foot above the knee. And actually, this is less intense, more intense, more intense. So really find a place that's going to work for you. No knee discomfort is allowed. We just want to work the hip. And don't forget to flex that foot, pull the toes back, push the heel away. Maybe one or two of you have particularly open hips. And so you might see this posture in some yoga books where this leg that's on the floor could even come in a little bit to give you a maximum bit of hip opening there. But there's really no rush to get into this position, and we're always guided by the knee. Okay, so we're going to release the left leg and come into a position that works for you on the other side. And if you have got something going on with one knee, this posture could look very different on the right side and the left side. So just continue to listen to your body. Lovely. So our last version of this hip opener, I'm going to show you the version on the floor. I'm going to slide the left leg straight, push the heel away, pull the toes back, and just take the hand onto the inside of the knee and wrap it around the shin, actually just below the knee joint. And then that allows me to use the arm, the straight arm, to guide the knee out to the side. So tight hips might be here, open hips might be right over here. Probably not many of you will get the knee all the way onto the floor without allowing the hips to roll round. That's cheating. So just keep the strong left side, keep the both backs of the pelvis, both hips on the mat, and just guide that knee out. And you will feel a lot of hip opening and some nice stretching down the inside of the thigh as you do that. And actually the final position of this pose is to tuck the chin in and roll the head the opposite way to the knee. So this is a modified lying version of a posture called Utthita Hasta Padangusthasana. And in the chair version, we hold the position and turn the head the opposite way to the side that is being opened. Very nice. And then release by bringing the knee back to center, sliding that leg straight, sliding the right leg straight, and bringing in the left knee, opening the hip. And if you're lying on the mat, turning the head to look right. In a chair can be a tendency when you're opening the hips to round the back and collapse. So just resist that, sit nice and tall and allow the head to keep turning as you reap two benefits really, the rotation through the spine and the opening of the hip. And let's now come back down out of that pose, releasing gently. And we're going to take one more stretch for the back of the legs and just see whether that hip opening work has had a positive impact on our hamstrings and our ability to lengthen them. If you want to and you're lying on the mat, you can do both legs at the same time. I don't recommend this if you're in a chair. We're going to do one leg at a time in the chair. But if you've got a belt around both feet, it's okay to do it on the back. It's just a little bit too much weight to extend both legs away from the chair in gravity. So just do one at a time if you're in the chair. This is going to be our deepest stretch for the back of the legs tonight. So enjoy it, make the most of it, keep your breath steady. And again, you might be here, or even the leg coming in towards the body slightly. And we're looking for 5 really good, deep, flowing, equal breaths. And then if you're lying on the mat, just soften the knees slightly to release the stretch, but keep the belt around the feet. And then on an exhale, come back for 5 more breaths in this stretch. So the external connection theme, if we think about the yoga tradition, it can be very confusing to see all the different styles of yoga that are offered and the different postures and the overemphasis on physical practice. So it is worth understanding a little bit about the history of the yoga tradition, because it does tend to lead to the conclusion that it is a very mixed picture. There are very many different physical practices, and the ones that have been picked and chosen for more athletic forms of yoga were just picked and chosen, and it doesn't necessarily mean that yoga is any more powerful or important than other forms of yoga. And in fact, the lesson we take from Patanjali and the sutras, the founding text of yoga, is really that the physical practice is only there to fulfill the purpose of leading to a steady breath and a steadier mind. So what we're going to do now is come into a cat stretch. So once you've released from the double hamstring stretch, just bring the knees in over the chest or fold over the thighs if you are on the chair. And then for those who can, you're going to come onto all fours. And cat will be very familiar to you. I would like you to pad the knees. And you can either keep the hands on the mat, slightly in front of the shoulders to avoid a severe angle on the wrists, breathing in, opening the spine, breathing out, arching it up. Any wrist or shoulder problems, you can use the chair to bring the arms and shoulders up so they're bearing virtually no weight. And for those of you with knee problems but who are able to stand, then use the back of the chair, keep the knees bent, and work your cat stretch from here. If you can't get up from the chair, you can still do the cat. You've done it several times in these classes, breathing in, drawing the shoulders back, sliding the hands from the knees up towards the hips, and exhaling, rounding the back, sliding the hands towards the kneecaps. As we said before, it's a little less effective sitting up just because the spine is upright in gravity. There's some compression in the discs. If you can get yourself either onto the mat or holding the back of the chair and take that spine so it's more horizontal to the floor, you really take out a lot of the compressive effects on the spine, and it's much safer and easier to get a bigger range of movement here. Very nice. So we're going to transition into a downward dog. Those of you who like to do it from the mat, you can just maybe take a few resting breaths from the cat if you've been resting weight through the hands and the shoulders, or you might feel you can come straight into it. I'll just show the back of the chair version. So just scooting the feet back a little bit, keeping the knees bent, resting the flat palms on the back of the chair, making sure it really feels secure, and trying to find this length through the spine from the fingertips all the way through the shoulders, down through the spine and out through the tailbone. So if you straighten the legs, you'll probably get a rounded back. So think of this as more a spinal extension, and you can draw in the lower abdominals a little bit and really work a beautiful releasing breath in that position. So if you have gone into the downward dog from the floor, you probably won't want to hold it for ages, but you might want to do a little bit of walking the dog, exhaling into one heel and then the other, using the in-breath as a transitional breath. So you're only stretching on the exhale. And of course, if you're happily doing your downward dog using the back of the chair, and you're sure you've got your spine nice and long, you can do the same movement on the exhale and add a little bit of leg stretch into the mix. Lovely. So we will come out of that pose now. If you're holding the back of the chair, just walk the feet in, come up to standing. And if you are working on the floor, you could sit back in pose of the child and just rest for a moment. You can do one more practice in this little run of cat, downward dog, and now lunge. And again, this one can be done from the mat. So I've padded the left knee, and the right foot is going to come forward, and the knee is not going to go beyond the ankle. The feet of this right foot and the knee of the left foot are a good hip width apart, and keeping the spine upright and resting the arms on the leading thigh. Again, you'll know that I'm quite keen to avoid weight bearing through the knees, and some of you I know have knee problems. So this pose can be done using the chair to avoid any of that kneeling position. Just make sure the chair is really stable and perhaps up against the wall if you can. And if the knee is in a position where you really can't work it in that way, just going to make the best of it. Take one knee out to the side and one knee forwards, open the chest, release the shoulders back. Very nice. We're going to change sides now. So whichever lunge position you've chosen, coming into the left leg leading. Try to feel that process of lengthening through the front of the body now, particularly through the front of the hips. Finding a little bit of space through the hip flexors. Very nice. So if you've been doing the lunge using the chair, just come back to standing, give the arms and legs a little shake. And again, if you did that from the mat, take pose of the child, resting the forehead down. So our last practice, and then we're going to do just a few sun salutations and a couple of balances, and then our closing inversion and relaxation. So that's what we've got to do. We've done the majority of our physical practice tonight. The next one is just a little bit of back strengthening. So this will require you to lie on the front of the body, and I will show a chair version for this in a moment. And if you have a yoga block or something similar, it can be a good thing to do just to rest the forehead on it so that the face is held away from the floor. And we'll just take a moment here to rock the pelvis from side to side and feel this new connection down to the earth. And if you're not used to doing back bends, even lying on your front like this can feel like you're beginning to open the spine in an unusual direction for you. We tend to be quite comfortable with a curved forward forward curve in the spine and much less comfortable with the backward bending. So then, for those who can, we're going to come up into the Sphinx pose where we're resting on the forearms, and everyone should be able to get a version of this that works for them. So if you are feeling that this is a little bit tricky for you, or you're feeling anything in the lower back, you can take the elbows a little bit wider and even a little bit further forward to decrease the amount of back bend. I've got the feet hip width apart and I'm just stretching away through the toes. Could equally tuck the toes under if you get any cramp in the feet. And I'm not going to do very much with the head, so keep the gaze forward and down and the back of the neck really long, and think instead of a real gentle curve from the top of the pelvis through the spine, coming up through the back of the neck and out through the crown of the head. Anytime you need to release the head down, just do that. And if you're working in the chair, you're going to come into exactly the same position, a bit like those cactus arms we did at the beginning. So it's as if you were lying on the floor. But because it's quite tiring to hold the arms here, we're going to keep this as a dynamic practice. So exhale, bring the palms together. Inhale, open up into the Sphinx, drawing the shoulders back and down, opening the heart. Very nice. When you've done enough of those, you're going to curl forwards, and those lying on the front, use the arms to push back, take pose of the child for a moment. And then we will do a little bit more dynamic work to strengthen some of the muscles of the lower back. But again, you're just going to work at your own level here. So forehead is resting on something. The arms come nice and wide. And then as you breathe in, you're just going to feel that you're lifting the breastbone, the sternum away from the mat. And as you exhale, it's going to come back down. We've taken the arms wide, so you don't want to push yourself up with the arms. That would really defeat the purpose. Instead, we're using the back muscles to lift ourselves away from the floor and exhale, releasing down. So the arms remain soft and the shoulders relaxed. And for those in the chair, we achieve exactly the same thing by coming into a forward position supported by the arms, spine is straight, and then inhale, raise the spine up so the elbows lift, exhale, back down. And if you were in a chair and you wanted to work a little bit harder, you could actually hold that position, have the forearms hovering, and then exhale, release down. And if you're still working with your front of the body stretched out on the mat, then release down, use the arms, push back into pose of the child one more time. And then for those who are working on the mat, you're going to come up to standing. For those in the chair, you're going to stay in your chair for sun salutation. And just like last week, I'm going to lead the first one of these from seated, but it's exactly the same if you're standing. So take a moment to get yourself into position. Take a moment to steady your breath, bring it back into its equal rhythm. Notice the effects of the practice so far. And then breathing in, opening the chest, breathing out, exhale onto the thighs and fold forwards. Breathing in, coming halfway up, and breathing out, folding forwards. Breathing in, coming up and reaching up. And breathing out, taking a little side bend. Breathing in, coming back to center, and breathing out, hands to heart. Inhale, extend the arms up to any comfortable height, and exhale to the other side. Inhale and exhale. That is one round. We're going to do two more, seated or standing. Breathing in, breathing out, bend the knees and fold. Breathing in, halfway up. You can hover the hands there if you want stronger work in the back. Exhale, fold forwards. Breathing in, coming up. Breathing out, palms together. Inhale, reach up. And exhale, side bend. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, reach up. Exhale to the other side. Inhale, reach up. And exhale. So one more sun salutation at your own pace. From the chair or from standing. Allow your body to be led by the breath. Equal inhale and exhale. And when you get to the end of that third sun salutation, just taking a moment either standing or sitting still in your chair and noticing the effects of the practice on your body, your breath, and your mind. So we're going to do a little balance now, and this is where everyone who's able to stand is encouraged to do so. If you have a bad knee, depending on what's going on, it could be the one that is better left as the standing leg, or it could be the one that is better that does a little bit of what we're going to do, which is a modified tree. So if you can't open the hip at all, maybe because there's a knee problem there, you could just bend the knee in this forward direction. And if you want to have either the support of a chair or a wall or anything else, just have that next to you. So if I've got the chair on the left hand as I have, you'll be working the right leg. So we're going to begin by just bending the right knee and resting the tips of the toes on the mat. So all the weight is through the straight left standing leg. And then use that opening in the hips just to turn the knee out. And we're going to extend the arm away from the body, palm up, and then keep a really soft shoulder and elbow and raise this right arm away from the body. Take a couple of breaths here. If you're really confident that you don't need the support of the chair, feel free to lift the other arm. Know that you have that support there if you need it. Turn the palm release the arm down, turn the knee in, release the heel down. So you could turn around. I'm going to move the chair so that I don't have my back to you. We'll do exactly the same on the other side. Remember, keep the knee forward with any knee problems. Open the hip if you can and extend the left arm. Use the chair if you need to, or release and float the arm up if you don't. Try to keep a steady breath and have a soft gaze forward and down, fixing your gaze at something not moving, something on the floor, a pattern in the carpet, and then just to hold your steady gaze. And turn the palm, release the arm down, bring the knee forward and release, give the arms and legs a little shake. Much better to do a contained balance that you feel you can succeed with than trying a really difficult one. But we'll move on as we do one more on each leg. So if you want to work a little more strongly this time, a little more challenge, then you could bring the right foot on top of the left. And those of you with an established practice of tree could bring the sole of the foot on the lower leg, or even up into the traditional position up against the thigh. Remember, you can use the chair or not. I'm going to try to maintain this form for up to 5 breaths. If you're having a particularly wobbly night, then give yourself a little bit of support. And even if you have a very light touch on the chair or hover the hand, knowing that it's there could be a key to feeling more steady and relaxed in this pose. When you get to breath number 5, bring the hand down, lift the leg off, turn the knee in and lower. And we'll do that once more on the other side. Remember, down here or up here, only if you normally do that as part of your practice. And at the end of the 5th breath, release the hand down, bring the knee in, come back to standing, lift and roll the shoulders. And then make your way into your mild inversion. So remember, if you're working the chair, you'll just put your legs up on another chair in front of you. And if you are able to come onto the floor, support the back of the head with your blanket. Raise the back of the pelvis with a yoga block and come into this just mildly inverted restorative pose. Tuck the chin in and either closing the eyes or a soft gaze up towards the ceiling. And we'll use this posture, this closing posture, just to reflect on our theme of external connection. The particular focus on our expectations around what we might do in yoga and how those have been shaped. And perhaps being able to let go of any idea that some form of physical prowess or athleticism or bendiness is required, when in fact all the core teaching tells us that we want to practice our physical postures in a way that are both steady and comfortable, and they become a vehicle for a transformation of our breath and our mind from an unrefined to a refined state of clarity and steadiness. And then feel free to remain in your mild inversion if you are really comfortable. We're going to take our relaxation now. And if you want to put on another layer or have a blanket over you, please do grab that now. And make yourself as comfortable as you can. Either lying on your back with the legs straight and the feet slightly wider than the pelvis, the arms 1 to 2 feet away from the body, palms facing upwards, shoulders rolled back and down. That would be the classic Shavasana yoga relaxation position. You could have the knees bent, you could lie on your side. You could remain in your chair with the feet up. So wherever you are comfortable. And then with the eyes softly closed or a soft gaze, begin to tune into your body. Notice every sensation in your body. Begin to retune your breath so that it reflects your best possible equal rhythm. Not by counting, but just by feeling with your own innate intelligence of breath, the equal flow of inhale and exhale, beginning, middle and end, unhurried, easy, and yet expressing this fullness of breath. And then take your awareness to the right foot and the right ankle. And as you breathe in, imagine that that equal inhale is filling the right foot and the right ankle with breath. And as you exhale, that right foot and right ankle softens and releases. On your next inhale, feel the right foot, right ankle, but also the lower right leg all the way up to the knee. Fill the whole of the lower leg with breath. And as you exhale, allow the lower right leg to soften and release. Inhaling all the way up to the right hip, right foot, right ankle, lower leg, right knee, right thigh, the whole of the right leg filling with breath. And as you exhale, the whole of the right leg softens and releases. Awareness to the left foot and left ankle, inhale, fill it with breath. Exhale, allow it to soften and release. Inhale all the way up to the left knee. Exhale, soften and release the lower left leg. Inhale all the way up to the top of the left leg, to the left hip. And exhale, soften and release. Inhale, fill both right leg and left leg with breath. And as you exhale, allow the right leg and left leg to soften and release. We move our awareness to the right hand and right wrist as we inhale. Fill the right hand and right wrist with breath. Exhale, soften. Right hand, wrist and forearm. Exhale, soften. The whole of the right arm all the way to the right shoulder. And exhale, soften. Take your attention to the left hand and left wrist as you inhale. Fill the left hand and left wrist with breath. And exhale, soften. Inhale all the way up to the left elbow. And exhale, soften. Inhale, breath into the whole of the left arm, right up to the left shoulder. And exhale, soften. Inhale, breath into both arms. And exhale, allow both arms to soften and release. Notice the sensations in your legs. Notice the sensations in your arms. Allow the arms and legs to remain still and relaxed. Awareness to the hips. Inhale, fill the whole of the hips, the whole of the pelvis with breath. And exhale, soften. Inhale, fill the abdomen and the lower back with breath. And exhale, soften. Inhale, fill the upper chest, the ribs, the upper back with breath. And exhale, soften. Inhale, fill the shoulders, the tops of the shoulders and the neck with breath. And exhale, soften. Inhale, fill the head, the back of the head, the sides of the head, the crown of the head and the face. Fill the whole of the head with breath. As you exhale, soften and release. Allow the whole of your body to feel as if the whole of the body fills with breath each time you breathe in. And as you exhale, the whole of your body softens and releases. And 2 more breaths in your own time. Inhale, whole body breathing. Exhale, whole body release. And at the end of the second exhale, allow yourself to release the body, release the breath into its own natural rhythm, and stay a while in your relaxation. Just being with that essence of yourself, that internal connection. And now allow your breath to deepen and reconnect with the body. Move the fingers, wriggle the toes, and stretch into your arms, your legs, your body in any way that feels good. And if you've been lying on the mat, bending the knees, rolling onto your side, take a couple of breaths there and then coming back up to sitting either on the mat or in the chair. And thank you very much for joining me this week.